Good morning and welcome to another edition of Lakers Fast Break Spotlight on Lakerholics Weekend. With me are the Lakerholics, Michael H., Laker Tom, and L. Rob, all decked out in his Detroit Lions cap, ready to support the local team. As always, the man with the sunglasses is Laker Tom, and the man with the incredibly bright backlighting is Michael H., because Hawaii is lovely. And I'm here at home.
Somebody's hiding here from us.
It's lovely. Michael informed me it was whale watching season in Hawaii this time of year, and that sounds like a lot of fun in my opinion.
It's also volcano watching. Kilauea is going off right now.
Fantastic. Natural disasters and natural wonder.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, a lot's happened since last week when we swore up and down there would be no trades, no imminent move. And within an hour or so of our show concluding, we were proved to be wrong. I was happy. I was happy with this trade. We'll get everybody's opinion here in just a second. I'm just going to weigh in and say, I think this is a solid trade. You can't let D'Angelo Russell walk next summer. They didn't let that happen. They took his cap space and turned it into two productive players who will likely be under contract next year. If you're not aware, Dorian Finney-Smith has a player option for about 15.5, 15.6, something like that. For next season.
He says he's going to decline.
And Shake's he might. It depends. We'll see how he plays as a Laker. Well, he
already said he was going to decline it.
All right. Well, so did D'Lo,
we still traded for him.
That's right.
Gave up 3 seconds.
That's right. So
better resign him.
Well, that's a bridge we'll cross in the summer. I'm not worried about that bridge right now. Right now, I'm just worried about how he hits that corner three, and he was hitting it last night. And then I like Shake Milton. I didn't see Shake Milton coming over in the deal, but I think it was a shrewd move because you did give up a guard in D'Angelo Russell, who's very capable. He's made the All-Star team. He's going to put up big numbers on a garbage team in Brooklyn, and hopefully play his way in another $15-20 million contract on a contender. You can't rely on Gabe Vincent staying healthy, evidently, because he's in and out of the lineup constantly, and Austin Reeves can't do it by himself. And so it was a smart move, I thought, to bring it. And we're not nobody talk about Jalen Hood-Schifino. The dude's like 19 years old and can't stay on the court. I don't understand. I don't know what's wrong with that young man. I wish maybe it's a change of scenery that he needs, or new training staff, or he just needs to work on his conditioning. I don't know what the problem is there. It's kind of mystifying to me. I wish we could count on a rookie that we drafted. I always like to root for rookies, but I thought it was shrewd. I know some of us wanted to see Sharp come over to kind of fill up that backup center need. I think this makes more sense come playoff time. I think in the playoffs you're more likely to play small. I think in the playoffs you need a guy who you can kind of rely on to come off the bench, and they can develop him into that for the rest of the season. He can score, he can play make. He's got a funky looking jump shot, I will say, but I haven't really paid much attention to Shake Milton up until the last two games.
He's burned us a few times.
Huh?
He's burnt the Lakers a few times in the past.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've seen him. That's my knowledge of him, is that he's had a couple of good games against us. But I like how both he and Finney-Smith are
usually guys. We always go after guys like that.
I love effort guys. I would always prefer to get an effort guy than a talent guy. Every single time. Give me guys that play hard. Give me guys that
win your Lakers on hard.
I know. Well, the Lakers don't listen to me very often, so that's fine. Anyway, I would still have Caruso on the team if I were running things. That's how I would be doing things. But anyway, we're moving on. Allie, Gerald, and Joe, I don't think either one will be here today. That's the Lakerholics spotlight on the weekend. But it's the four of us, so that's enjoy it while it lasts. Oh yeah, that's right. There's Joe. Joe will be in the chat. There he is. Anyway, I'll start with El Rob and swing back around the horn to Tom, and Michael, I'll get your thoughts last. El Rob, what were your thoughts on the Dorian Finney-Smith, Shake Milton trade?
I thought it was a good move. Save some money, so I guess that gives them a little bit more maneuverability moving forward, so that's good. But just from an on-court standpoint, to be, the best team you can be, you just need reliable players. And while D'Lo's upside was, high when he had his scoring outbursts and ability to set Davis and set the table and run the show, was definitely a higher ceiling than somebody like Finney-Smith. Just not consistent, and just not. I mean, it all comes down to what you can do in the playoffs. And he went from probably one of the worst playoffs I've ever seen from a good player to just being bad last year. So I think we'll know what we can get from Finney. He'll be consistent. He'll hit a couple corner threes. He'll defend at a good level, and we need, and having another wing defender for all these guys, the Lucas and whoever else we may have to face in the playoffs could come in handy. So good move. As far as Shake goes, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if he's playing when we're fully healthy roster. I'm not convinced.
Okay. Tom?
I like the move a lot. I think essentially what we have to do on this team is basically get rid of one-way players for two-way players. And we got a two-way player. I was surprised that with all of the publicity that you would read about how coveted wings are, who are real legitimate 3-and-D guys, and Dorian's having an excellent year from deep, and he's a solid defender that has a good reputation and has size and plays up, defends up. He can actually play small ball center and has done a good portion of it. So I thought he was an excellent pick, and I thought it was a good strategy, very similar to the Rui strategy last year of 2 years ago of trading, second round picks in an early trade that could possibly set up a bigger trade to come. Of course, that's always the dilemma with the Lakers. Yeah, they have this next 5 weeks to evaluate whether they want to make another trade. And if the team does well, you almost always think it makes them less prone to wanting to make a trade than more prone. So we'll see what happens. I think that Finney-Smith fills a real need in that he's a lot more diverse player than Rui is. Rui really, you can play what you can defend in the NBA. And Rui can't defend threes. He can defend fours, but that job on the Lakers is owned by LeBron James. So, Rui's got to play the three. He got to defend threes as part of his job, regardless of who you put him on offense and what you do with him. Dorian, he's able to defend threes. He can defend threes, fours, and fives. So he gives us, even though he's a couple of inches or 1 inch shorter than Rui, he's more consistent and he's more defense first oriented.
He's more athletic in general.
He's more athletic in general, and he will definitely help the offense and defense both. I think Rui basically will be able to play four. He will be able to defend four as a backup, and he'll be playing against backups instead of starters, which should be good for him because if he can continue to shoot from distance the way he has the last 2 years, he will be an asset that people will want to have and will be willing to pay to get, instead of just a player who's filler in a trade that involves draft capital. So good move by Pelinka. I just want to see what happens with JJ making the move to start Doe instead of Rui, and what Rob does with the next move.
Michael?
Well,
do you think the goal
that's your perspective, because according to the Laker coaching staff and JJ in multiple interviews, they've been praising Rui's defense this year. He's been very, very good. That's one of the reasons why their defensive rating has risen, not just because of Max, but Rui's been defending at a high level, as has LeBron. I mean, you're giving the old Rui narrative, not what he's been doing recently. So I don't know if he'll start or not, because Rui is a better player as a starter than he is off the bench. I think Doe will probably get starter minutes, but I think he'll probably come off the bench, because also Rui is a better offensive player than Doe is. I mean, he has a more complete game. He can go inside, he can play bully ball, and he can hit the three at a high level. So
I think the difference is if Rui could be consistent, we see these stretches of Rui on offense and defense that are, definitely starter quality without a question.
Yeah. So anyway, I get to my turn as to my opinion of the trade. I think it was a good deal. I like the fact that they didn't have to give up a first-round pick that to get him. I thought it was smart bringing Milton along because if he shines, he's under contract for the next 2 years. If he doesn't shine, it's non-guaranteed. So either if he doesn't work out, they cut him and it's no big deal. But we did definitely need another. He's a combo guard. He can do some ball handling. So when you losing D'Lo, you needed at least somebody that can run the offense if needed, and that was why I think they brought Shake along with them was because they really needed that emergency at best, an emergency guy in case of injuries and things like that. So yeah, I think it was a good deal. I was impressed with those plays last night. He took a little turn on Trey there for a while, which I thought was kind of cool. So yeah, all in all, I mean, one thing that I was envisioning, we were talking about, we might play more small ball in the future. I was just thinking about this when Vando comes back, they could trot out a team with LeBron, handling the point guard position, but and Max and Vando and Rui and Finney Smith. That would be a massive small ball lineup, and with 4 guys that can hit the 3, that would be a tough. If they want, give AD a break and Austin a break, trot that small ball lineup out. That's Max would be the shortest guy at 6'6".
Yeah. I don't know about Vando.
Max needs to put on some muscle, in my opinion. Joe had a nice point about Max Christie that he doesn't play well with contact, and I think that's true. I think Max has another 5 pounds of toning and muscle that he could add to his frame, and he'd really be able to bang a little harder and be a little bit better of a defender. I didn't know there was a take between JJ Redick and Charles Barkley. I don't really care anything about any of that. This is a comment from one of our from Ali. I don't know if anybody else has heard about this. I could care less. We're not going to talk about it. My take on the deal is I think we're all kind of in sync. I think I gave it a B+ on the blog. In case you're not aware, we're all part of the Lakerholics blog. Feel free to post and come by and all those things all the time. Would I have preferred us to get Sharp over Milton? Probably. I think in the long run.
That would have been a huge difference.
Would have been a huge difference. It probably would have taken a first rounder. I think that's why they probably didn't do it. I thought that they took the guys, and I think it's for cap space. I think the Lakers are making a smart move in terms of everybody went through the new salary cap for the first time last summer, and it was kind of interesting to see how it stopped team building in a lot of ways. That you got to a point and you were just like, well, that's it, and we are done. We can't do anything else. There's no other moves we want to make because the penalties are just too crazy. It's just too much. So. And you see guys like
there's no room for discretionary moves.
Now there is if you cut a roster spot. So if you're not aware of how things work, if you're tuning into the show for the first time, we've gone over this 14 million times, I feel like, but I'm just going to run one more time. Lakers are at 15 roster spots. That's the maximum number of roster spots you can carry in the NBA. They have no guys that if you waive a guy, it doesn't mean you don't pay him. Their money still counts against the cap. So the Lakers could waive somebody now because they're 3.5 under the max. They could waive Christian Wood. They could waive Cam Reddish. They could waive, anybody really. But those are the 2 most likely because they're vet minimum deals. So they'll have enough money to the side that they can still put one more player on the roster. My guess would be somebody like Lonnie Walker IV, or who knows, maybe a center gets cut and they can sign him for the vet minimum. Maybe some team, maybe Washington takes pity on Jonas Valanciunas and just cuts him, even though they just signed up to a new deal.
God, no, please.
Hey, for the vet minimum, I'd take Valanciunas. I would not trade a single draft pick for the man. I would not trade Rui Hachimura for the man or Max Christie.
Every year, we went through a period of 4 or 5 years straight where we kept putting guys like that on the roster, and they never ever stuck and never ever had an effect. All they do is prevent the front office from doing something constructive.
Well, I don't know about that. Anyway, point being is that the Lakers now have $3.5-ish million in cap space. That's basically a vet minimum contract. I don't think all of these moves were made by mistake. I think that they wanted to free up about that much money so that they want to bring somebody in that can cut wood, they can cut Cam, or if one of those proves to be like, hey, I don't like my role, that would probably be Christian Wood, because I've really liked how Cam has been a solid backup 3 on this team, 3-4. I think that that's one of the reasons that they did this. And as Michael said, we can just let Shake walk next season. I think he's not guaranteed. He's only making 3.6. His contract goes up a little bit every year, but it's gonna be nothing compared to how much the cap goes up. So for 3.5, I mean, he's a fine backup point guard. I already like him better than Gabe because he's playing. So I'm having a hard time with Gabe Vincent again this season. Everybody keeps saying like, yeah, but if he would play, I'm like, I'm in the same boat with Jared Vanderbilt. I'm a huge Jared Vanderbilt fan. He's not playing. So you can't root for a guy.
He's practicing now, though. That's the good
I've
news.
heard he's practicing a non-contact and a non-contact situation. All right, so let's get into the game last night. As always, when something happens, exciting happens for LeBron, turns 40, breaks a scoring record, creates a new statistical category all of his own of 10,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 10,000 assists, or whatever it was, 5,000, I forget. The Lakers lose, as they did on his 40th birthday on New Year's Day. Then they backed it up with a great win against, I thought it was a great win against Atlanta, because I thought it was the kind of win where I didn't feel like Atlanta ever threatened us. They tried to go on some runs. We would respond. And the defense on Trae Young, I thought, was exceptional. I don't know why DeAndre Hunter has just absolutely awful games against the Lakers. I think this is the second game where he's had like a 2 for 20 or just a ridiculously poor shooting game by his standards. He had a string of at least 15 points scored in games, 6 in a row, 7 in a row, something like that. They mentioned in the broadcast last night, and he just was a no-show, which happens. It just seems to happen a lot against the Lakers for whatever reason. I don't know if that's because
defensively they were in his face a lot,
and he's got to contend with AD. AD's that's not an easy cover, and AD was playing well last night, and it was great to see LeBron go out for his little. There's like 4.5 minutes left in the game, and he never came back. It was great. 5 whole minutes of rest for LeBron. He must feel wonderful today, and is probably going to go play some table tennis with the kids. Let's start with you, Michael. Your thoughts on the game last night?
Well, the biggest takeaway for me, we scored 119 points, but that's not a big accomplishment against the Hawks.
In the modern NBA, it's not a big accomplishment anymore.
But holding them to 102 points was a big deal. I mean, this is the 5th highest scoring team in the league at 117 a game. So, we were connected. Everybody played really good defense. I thought Max was, the times he was guarding Trae, he did a really good job. Trae didn't really go off on him. He did a lot of his scoring when Max was on the bench. So, but I like the fact that we shot the 3 fairly well, 42%. That was a good deal. We out rebounded them by 17 boards. That was a huge deal as well. And I don't know what it is, but every time I see Clint Capella play, I'm going, how in the hell did he ever get a $20 million contract? He just, I don't know. I mean, AD didn't have the best shooting night, but he got, 19 boards, 3 blocks, 3 steals, makes up for that. Austin didn't have the best shooting night either, but he did hit 3 out of 7 from 3. So all in all, it was the defense that really impressed me, because offensively, you're going to score a lot against those guys. They can't stop anybody, but defense was the key for me.
Sorry, I realized I left the oven on. Don't want to burn the house down. I agree with all that. Tom, what are your thoughts on the game?
I was really impressed by 2 things. One, similarly, just like Michael highlighted, we never seemed to be really threatened by them. We got off to an early lead. We just had problems really expanding that lead until late in the third quarter. And a couple of times they'd get within single digits of it or 6 points or something like that. But we usually responded pretty well. And I think just like the previous win, we were able to have consistent contributions, not just from both of our stars, in cases of one of them being out and so forth, but from the other players. So we had good games all around. You know, if we can get 2 or 3 of the top 7 guys on the team to also contribute solid double-digit efforts, you know, we're pretty good. And I think we've done that. And then most importantly, you know, ever since the Heat game that we got just clobbered, you know, and the team had a secret meeting, and then you know, JJ changed the offense to go a lot more drop coverage, and they started making exceptions for different players, you know, that, you know, they realized that Bogdanovich doesn't ever really set a screen, so don't even switch when the guy's out there, regardless of who's playing. So we've made some good adjustments, and the team has committed itself to playing defense first basketball, and I thought this the next 2 games will tell us, are the Lakers for real or not?
I mean, I think the whole season is for that purpose, but yes. All right, Rob, what did you happen to catch the game last night?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Enjoyed it. Good win. My only concern going into it was the back-to-back with LeBron. It's been a little while since we've had a back-to-back with him, and but yeah, he came out as if he wanted to let everybody know, hey, back-to-back, I'm really going to attack it to let you know that I still got a lot left in the tank. So, I mean, he was incredible. That was just one of those games you just sit back and you just marvel at his greatness. So, I mean, defensively, yeah, it was a little lackluster for the team in the first half. Missed assignments, you can tell. Doe and Shake, you know, they mix up a few things here and there.
Yeah,
and that's expected.
Yeah,
I don't know if they've had a full team practice even though, to be honest.
Yeah, that's to be expected. And you know, it's like quit fooling around with the ball around Dyson Daniel guys, stuff like that. I mean,
Really?
Yeah, guys is a great defender, so they're gonna make their plays too. Trey is gonna do what he does. So it was an enjoyable game. It's nice to win a game where you never really feel threatened.
Yep.
And they come away, and you know, everybody played pretty decent. It was good to see Rudy duck in and make his impact. And it's really the way I prefer seeing AD used. I mean, I don't want AD to have to feel like he has to go out and be the focal point offensively and score all the points. I want to see him protecting the rim, being a deterrent there, being a defensive player first. So I think the more we get to see that, the higher the Lakers ceiling becomes. So
that's a great point, Lee, because
I agree that
you don't get the balanced scoring that you get the last couple of games if you have AD scoring 35 as well as LeBron doing 30.
Yeah. I marvel with AD also. How many times do guys get into the paint, look around, and go, I'm not going to go in here and leave or pass it out. He stops way more shots from even being shot than he does block.
And when he's not called on to do that all offensively, you don't see him falling down. You don't see him diving to the lane, flipping it up, and you know the other team's going the other way if he misses because he's on the ground for 3 to 5 seconds. You know, you really cut down on.
Yeah, I wonder how many points he scores net if we take away points for all of those fall downs.
Yeah.
All right.
So, off balance as much, and so it's just to me a better.
There's like 4 or 5 people in the chat who want us to address the turnovers last night. So yes, the Lakers had 18 turnovers last night. Austin Reeves had 6 of those. Every starter had at least one. Multiple starters had multiple turnovers. A lot of turnovers off the bench as well. I personally think it's contributed to by 3 things. One, we had a hard time with Atlanta's physicality. Atlanta was bodying us up. Sometimes it got called. Most times it didn't. It was funny because there were some touch fouls called against Atlanta late in the game where I was kind of like, that's been happening all game long, and now it's a foul. But okay, all right, whatever. We're into some drama. We're into some theater. I understand. You don't want it to be a blowout, NBA. Maybe there's Vegas, sports book and play that I'm not aware of.
The refs had money on this game, man.
That's what I mean. I'm not here to talk about any conspiracy theories that may or may not come out. Austin Reeves, I thought in general was bothered by the Hawks' physicality and length. And let's not, the Hawks are a big, physical, long team. Like that's what they are. And Reeves struggled with that. He got into the paint and he would do the same thing. He would scoot right back out to the 3-point line. He would drive the ball and be like, I'm not feeling this. So I think that's a credit to the Hawks defense, right? And the fact that we still managed to win while Austin had, let's call it a mediocre game, I think is a good sign for the Lakers. Because
if you're guarded by Dyson Daniels and you could get close to a triple-double, even if you got 6 turnovers,
you're doing okay.
No problem, man.
You're doing okay, right? And Dyson
that guy's a beast. I mean, this is the perfect example of, I think, great general managers. If you got Trae Young as your point guard, then you want to pair him with somebody who's going to really be a nice balance and to make it really difficult. Man, Dyson Daniels is perfect because he's going to hassle the heck out of whoever else.
As is Clint Capella, unfortunately, Michael. That is why Clint Capella is there, because he is the perfect point guard or the perfect center to pair with point guard Trae Young. He finishes lobs. He does all the dirty work inside. He doesn't mind banging. Trae gets to just run around and shoot 50-foot 3-pointers or whatever.
And you can't find a buyer at $20 million.
And they can't find a buyer at $20 million. Right. But he's going to expire after next summer. So next year they'll find a home for him.
Yeah.
Hopefully not the Lakers.
Share the MLE from somebody.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
Maybe. I don't know. When you watch these young guys in Atlanta, you watch the young guys on some of these teams, you can sense a changing of the guard that's coming, and it's going to hit hard.
Oh yeah.
When these guys get 3 or 4 more years in, LeBron's gone, and
we're entering an age of parity that has never been seen in the sport. There's never been a great deal of parity in the NBA. It's been dynasty. 1 or 2 teams win here. Dynasty. 1 or 2 teams win. Dynasty. The last 7 years have seen different championship winners. Now, granted, 2 of those were the Lakers, or one of those was the Lakers, one of those was the Warriors, and one of those was the Celtics. So the 3 dynasty teams have won one. But you also got to see Milwaukee. You also got to see, I'm going to forget somebody here.
Denver.
Thank you, Denver. And you also got to see Toronto, right? And so, that's for small market teams. I think this breakthrough in modern NBA, and I attribute it to
there's too many good players now. It's real parity.
I don't think there's I take it the other way. I don't think there's enough good players. Great players are starting to conglomerate in places, and this is why you see such a disparity in what is like the top 8 teams.
But the CBA is doing a pretty good job of leveling
that out. That as well. That's right. Eventually there'll be like something resembling true parity a little bit. And then
2.5 stars are what you want.
And then it's going to come down to drafting.
Then
you got to be good at drafting. Then it starts to become a little bit more like baseball in the NFL. You got to draft right. The NFL or the NBA you haven't needed to draft right. You could build a team with money, especially if you were in LA, New York, one of the big market areas. That's going to be less and less of a thing. And I think overall it's good for the sport, in my opinion. But my thoughts on last night's game. Well, wait, did we get everybody's thoughts? Michael, we didn't get your thoughts on last night. Did we get everybody's thoughts?
Yes, we got mine.
Oh, great. I mean, I thought it was, like I said, I thought it was a great team win. Nobody had an amazing game for the ages. LeBron had for him an amazing game for the ages because the dude's 40. And, it'll be nice to see him. It's nice to see LeBron not have to carry the team to the finish line every night, because the last 2 or 3 years, that's been a problem. If LeBron ran out of gas, the Lakers ran out of gas. And I thought that LeBron is playing in a pace now that allows him to have energy at the end of the game. I think the schedule is favorable for us. We'll have a lot of home games coming up. There's at least a day off between every single game. I don't think we have another back-to-back for like 3 weeks, 2 weeks maybe, something like that. I can't remember exactly. And all of these bode well for the Lakers if they can take care of business game by game, focus on the opponent ahead of them, not get too far ahead of themselves. Then comes another heinous road trip, which I expect us to kind of do poorly on, because the Lakers are not a great travel team. LeBron's old. The other guys that you're not getting calls in the away arena. You get all frustrated and miffed about it. And I wish they would just say, well, we're not going to get any calls tonight. Let's just go out and play a little harder. Doesn't seem to happen around. I don't know that the ratings are down because of the lack of a dynasty, Joe. I think that the ratings are down because of a lack of offensive variety. But that's a topic for another weekend. That's like a summertime topic.
Or maybe they just can't count the ratings.
I mean, also there's a lot of great teams coming up in the NFL, and I think people are really, really, really excited to see somebody dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL. Perhaps it will be L-Rob's Detroit Lions. Perhaps it will be the Minnesota Vikings. Perhaps it'll be the Philadelphia Eagles. We don't know. We know that
just to get back on the ratings thing, what's
Sure.
not being taken under consideration is there's a lot of streaming outlets now.
Yeah.
You can watch
Yeah.
NBA games on Max and on Prime, and those don't count in the ratings.
You're not even counting the illegal streaming that's going on.
I think the only measurement that anybody in the NBA cares about, I'm sure that they don't like having to answer questions about ratings, but I think all they care about is that B, that R, and that I, which is basketball related income. And that number, ba-bong, is up.
Exactly.
So, that's the only number anybody cares about, people. Oh, the TV ratings are down. Whee, money. Anyway, that's
the ratings are probably down because the Lakers aren't up the top of the league, but that'll solve that this year.
Of course. The planet is in mourning because the Lakers aren't dominating.
Well, there's that song about everything revolves around the Lakers. If you look at the sports world and you look at basketball and what's happening, and you look at pro basketball, the truth is it's why Charles Barkley can't shut his big mouth, because everything does revolve around the Lakers.
You know what? I don't mind that. Charles Barkley makes himself a pretty penny, but by not shutting his big mouth, and I'm all for it, man. However you make your money, as long as you're not blowing up houses and robbing from the poor, I don't much care. Steal from the rich. Don't steal from the poor. Let the poor get a leg out, man. All right. So last thing I want to talk about tonight. Well, maybe not the last thing. We got about 20 minutes and a half hour. The Jimmy Butler saga in Miami has really started to unfold at a rapid pace. From we're not going to trade Jimmy to it's a fire sale. What's the best offer we can get in the shortest?
There's not going to be any statue for Jimmy in Miami.
No, there will not be a statue. Well, I mean, he didn't win a chip, so why would they put a statue out there? It's a little surprising that this went south so quickly, because I do feel like Miami has sort of, for lack of a better word, catered to Jimmy Butler and all of his.
Well, I thought you said cratered. Because I thought that's what's
Well, they might crater when he leaves, depending on
the general manager is cratered, their head coach is cratered.
I don't know about that.
I
think there's disharmony. I think the Heat are.
It's the Miami culture. The Heat culture is crashing.
Well, I think that's it's suffering its biggest test. I think it's suffering its biggest test because no superstar has ever done this to them. Every superstar has always been lockstep behind lockstep behind Spo, and Jimmy Butler. If you don't know this yet about Jimmy Butler, there's a tune in his head, and that's the only thing he dances to, man. He doesn't care about the outside world. He doesn't care what anybody else thinks or wants from him. Jimmy wants what Jimmy wants, and Jimmy gets what Jimmy wants, and that is how he has functioned as an NBA player, and he's done pretty well by that. So I don't see Jimmy Butler changing.
How many championships has he won?
Well, he's made a lot more money than I have, so I'm not really worried about championships. He's set for life. His family is set for life. We're talking about a kid who used to sleep on other people's couches growing up, and he's fine. Jimmy Butler's just like Carmelo Anthony, going to be just fine for the rest of his entire natural life and not have to worry about money, right? So whatever, everybody, you can say what you want about Jimmy Butler. Fact of the matter is he probably has more money than you and will have a long, fun life at everybody who came to watch him play basketball's expense.
Jamie, you sound like LeBron at the podium when he said, well, enjoy your miserable life.
But I'm serious. I think it's so funny when people say things like, "Oh, that Jimmy."
Well, I don't know.
I
might be happier than Jimmy Butler. You don't know.
I don't. I mean, personal happiness is a completely different thing. I'm talking about his. Listen, and this is true. Joe's right. Jimmy Butler takes a dump everywhere before he leaves. which is funny to think about. If you ever get fired from a job, make sure the last thing you do is leave a dump in the boss's toilet. So make sure that's the number one thing you accomplish before you walk out.
Jimmy overplayed his hand, and he's coming into the realization, or Pat Riley is not when you want to overplay your hand.
They're not lining up to invite him to join their team, are they?
I think this is what I think. I think that I think he always overplays his hand, and he's done well by that, right? He has never been one to shy away from outlandish statements or, yelling at the entire team in practice or calling out a city as he leaves. That's just what he does. And then he goes to
he's getting older and not as good.
And then he kicks ass. And so, but I mean, we're talking about people who are wired a certain way. You don't just wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm done being that way. I'm a changed person. It's Thursday. I changed myself. People don't.
But life can do that to them. And when you reach Jimmy's age and level,
in 2 years,
Jimmy, that happened to you.
2 years, Jimmy will realize that he overplayed his hand this year, right? That's my personal take. And I don't hate Jimmy for asking for the max, but what I can't really understand is all the statements from Pat Riley. Pat's smarter than this, or he used to be, and he's getting old. Pat didn't used to air dirty laundry in the press.
Yeah, I know.
That move by Pat Riley, I think, is what actually backfired.
The heat culture's having problems, man.
Well, because like I said, it's never been tested in this manner before. This is the first time a superstar has pushed back against Pat Riley, maybe in Pat's entire life, other than New York, I guess. I'm not.
All those small town general managers are saying, "See, that's why we don't go after the LeBrons." And
I mean, there's something to that. It's about, my point is this, and then I want to hear what you guys think about all this. I guess we're just kind of talking about it, but I was surprised that the Heat said Jimmy's off the table. And then I was not surprised when he said, I don't have joy here, because whether it was public or not, he had asked for a trade behind the scenes. And then they said, we're not trading him. Well, now you've given the man, you've done the one thing you don't want to do to Jimmy Butler. And that's try to put him in a corner and tell him to stay quiet and not be himself. That's the wrong move with Jimmy Butler. Yeah. It's just the wrong thing to do. You can say that to Jimmy behind closed doors and be like, Jimmy, we're not seeing offers for you. Let's work this out in the summer. Let's just play hard. If you need a rest game here or there, just let us know. We're working with you to get this right. Let's go try to win some games. You're done.
And they probably they haven't been able to find anybody who's a suitor.
Because they're probably asking too much. They look at Danny Ainge getting a haul for Rudy Gobert and thinking Jimmy Butler's better than Rudy Gobert. We should at least get Gobert prices, and you're not going to
I don't know. I don't even know if it's that. I mean, for most teams, now the one team that had Miami already said they don't want Bradley Beal. Yeah. They said we don't want him. Right. So anybody else that has been mentioned as
Warriors aren't going to give up Kuminga.
Well, it's not even that. It's the amount of contracts they'll take.
Yeah, you got to take 4 or 5 guys to match up.
I know that's the biggest issue. I don't even think
you got to cut all those guys and
it's this. Yeah, I don't know what happened to James.
And then Jimmy's going to do the same thing to you.
Yeah, it's just a matter of economics. I mean, how many guys that some of these teams going to have to give up to get him? He was making $48 million, I think it is this year or something like that. That is a lot of contracts if you don't have.
There's people hesitating and going out after these guys making $35 million.
Yeah,
you got a guy who's making almost 50 already.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be the biggest obstacle is finding a team that's willing to. I mean, Warriors are mentioned, but they're going to have to strip their depth. I mean, they won't have any second string left if they trade for Butler,
And that's the exact reason why the Lakers should trade for Walker Kessler, because that $3 million salary allows you to keep a whole bunch of people that you would have to trade in any other scenario. Give up the damn draft capital.
Well, I don't think it's even imaginative that, though, Tom. I've been reading a lot about Danny not wanting to make the Lakers better.
Yeah, but
the value of those draft picks.
He's always negotiating. That's all.
Yeah, well,
that may or may not be true.
He just wrote an article where he really felt that he will eventually take one pick and removing the protections. from the 27 pick.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of ways that could go down. I don't want to get into trades yet. Let's finish off with Jimmy Butler. A lot of the chat is saying that Golden State has the best chance to land him. I'm not sure about that. I actually think if I were the Brooklyn Nets, I would look at ways to get Jimmy Butler and as many draft picks back from Miami as humanly possible, or to give up as little as possible, because then you just let Jimmy walk. And you can rebuild your team. You'll have $90 million.
They already got it. They already got a horde of draft picks too,
and they already got a horde of draft picks. So they could make a reasonable
deal. It fits their plan perfectly.
And they could give up, whoever they don't like anymore.
They're like the superstore for superstars too.
They could flip D'Lo. They could flip
guys run through there now. It's like
they could flip D'Lo.
Who do they have available? They could run a great sale.
Let's move into the phase of our discussion that Tom always looks forward to. What are the Lakers not going to do next?
Make a smart move for a starting center.
We don't need
to make a dumb move for backup.
So let's look at some facts. Trading for Dorian Finney-Smith gives you a lot of, with LeBron James taking up the 4 as a starting 4. LeBron James is the starting 4. You're not going to move him to the 3. Can't guard threes anymore, or shouldn't.
Dorian can play the 3.
I don't think they're going to put Dorian Finney-Smith in the starting lineup. I think they're going to have him come off the bench, at least until this doesn't work. And it's working so far.
Well, stat-wise, since
it's 2 games.
They traded for Dorian Finney-Smith.
It's 2 games.
The starting lineup has a negative plus minus.
Whatever. It's 2 games. One of those AD didn't play.
Those 2 games.
One of those Anthony Davis didn't play. So it's 2 games. One of them AD didn't play. I don't care about that stat. It's meaningless.
The eye test says the same thing, though.
I don't believe that either. 2 games. All right. So
102 points. Yeah, Tom.
I don't know what
eye test, Tom.
I love how you get so certain about something within 42 seconds. Like, well, I've made a thought about it. Now it's a real thing.
It's going to happen whether you want it or not.
I don't know that it's going to happen. Let's put it this way. I think that Rui's doing himself favors by playing smart basketball on both ends. He's the only Laker to cut. Rui cuts multiple times per game, and it opens up the offense in ways that no other player chooses to play. That's one thing.
Because he's the guy who starts in the corner.
The other is that just like DFS, he can guard 3 through 5. Can Dorian Finney-Smith really guard shooting guards and point guards? Maybe. He's quick and athletic. If it's the right combo.
Oh, I don't think either one of them can guard.
I wouldn't rely on it. No, that's why I like Max Christie in the starting lineup as well, because you've got.
Rui basically can only Rui is a much more effective defender against the 4 than he is.
On top of that, Dorian Finney-Smith is much better than Christian Wood. This allows you to kind of replicate your starting lineup with a Hayes, Finney-Smith, AD, LeBron. You've got a nice kind of combination there. You could swap Rui in that, and it would be just as good. And I think on top of all of this, I think the Lakers are trying to decide who is going to supplant LeBron James eventually. I'm not talking about in camp space. I just mean in terms of who's going to slide over to that starting 4 spot and be kind of a hybrid 3-4. Because you don't really need a true power forward anymore. Power forwards are always guys who have to be able to guard the 3 and the 4, or the 4 and the 5. They don't just guard another power forward. They're always the glue defensive guy, and it helps if they can hit the 3, and it helps if they can finish at the rim. Both Dorian Finney-Smith and Rui are good at that. I would give Rui the edge on offense, and I would give Dorian Finney-Smith the edge on defense, just based on reputation. This will play out on the Lakers in a way that's a little bit different than what we've seen in the past, and it gives us a lot of options off the bench. I want to start with you, L. Rob. Is there a world, do you think, that the Lakers don't make a move because, and then we will get to potential trades. I've got a potential trade that I have. I know Tom will want to hear it because he's like, Jimmy, you never come up with potential trades. And you're right. I don't. I find it to be kind of a fruitless exercise. But, Rob, is there a world where this is it? Lakers are done. They've made the move. They let this roll to the end of the season.
No, I think the chances of that being the case are very slim. So they will make some type of move. I think they're really trying to wait and see what Vando has. I mean, what Vando, yeah, that could be the change. If he's back in 3 weeks and he can play at a decent level, I mean, that's impacts the team so much and gives them more flexibility on what they may be willing to do. So I think they want to wait until they can see where his progress is. But yeah, I don't see them standing pat right now.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah, I look at. I think there'll be moves made, small, but I don't think it's going to be anything big.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
thing about it is that they can. We're in the West, with the exception of OKC. The West is beating the hell out of each other. We're in the 4th seed. I don't see us falling any further. We're going to stay between that 4th and 8th, back and forth. We have the time because of that to kind of gauge what these latest trades, have brought. I do think we need at least minimum a backup center with bulk. Koloko is a two-way, so he's going to have, he can only play, I think, 25 more games, and he won't be available for the playoffs. So I think they need another center, especially if, AD gets hurt.
Or a roster spot.
Yeah. And
I
would like to see them. I would like to see them also with, another ball handling guard, score a little bit, it doesn't have to be. So I'll give you my trade since you have one, Jamie. I like Hood Shapino and Wood for Nick Richards in Charlotte and a second. And then you've got that opens up a roster spot. So maybe you can go after a Lonnie Walker, somebody like that, to give you a little bit more punch off the bench. So if I were, I would, I like Kessler. I don't have a lot of confidence that Danny's going to want to let him go. And I don't think he's worth 2 first-round picks. I mean, he's worth 1, but I don't think he's worth 2. So for me,
how about 1 and take off the protections? Would you buy that?
I would buy that, but I don't know if Danny will.
Danny Ainge buys that.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, Danny's in a position, he doesn't have to do anything with Kessler. He can, he's under contract another year, so he can hold on to him. So,
but he'd like to lose more games than he's currently losing.
And they're actually they're losing at a good clip, so that takes the pressure off of him too.
They're not
right, but they have some really tough competition too. It's
the lottery. The lottery nullifies getting the worst.
Well, you want to be one of the worst 4.
Yeah,
that's the best you can do.
Yeah. So anyway, I think a small move like that would be pretty good, and that's what I kind of expect. It'd be something like that. I don't think any kind of really big names will get outbid for. So, and please
I wonder if any of those big names really are going to move, because
I don't think so. I really don't.
People are really valuing their positions, and so many people are close to an apron that it's
almost
a scary thing. You don't have
impossible.
those discretionary moves where you used to be able to say, "Oh hell, let's try this trade. If it doesn't work, we'll just move on." Now, when you screw up a trade, you've lost that trading chip. All of a sudden, that trading chip that you got isn't as good as the one you got before. You're really screwed.
Yes, that kind of is what happened with Russell Westbrook, and we pulled out of that nosedive pretty well, all things considered. I mean, eventually Russell Westbrook has become Dorian Finney-Smith, Shake Milton, Rui Hachimura, and Jared Vanderbilt. That's not bad. Okay.
So I think that first I would be happy with the trade that Michael was talking about, because the worst thing in the world to me would be to waste any second-round picks on Jonas Valanciunas. I think he's just over the hill, and he's not going to.
I think
there are a couple of interesting moves that the Lakers could make, and the most obvious move I think is Kessler. And I think at some point in time, if you have to throw a couple of second-round picks in, you're not going to give him more than that 1 first-round pick. But if you want to throw in a couple of second-round picks, and
we only have 1 second left, Tom.
We have 2. We have the 25 Clippers, and we have the 25 Lakers.
No, we traded those. We traded
3 of our own picks.
We only had 4.
We We traded
Yeah,
three of
well,
our
no,
own.
so technically, it kind of depends on what happens next summer when one might become a second round.
Yeah,
So
we have to
we will
cover that.
have. I don't know that we have 5 to trade. 4 to, we don't have. I don't know if we have 1 to trade right now. We will have 1 coming when the first round, second round pick is decided next summer. So I don't know that you can trade that. Is what I'm saying.
Well, no, everything I've
We
read
have
is
one tradable second.
we have. I think both of our picks.
No, one for it.
Anyway,
One
let's
tradable.
call it 1 for right now, and we don't need. I'll look it up, or somebody can look it up. I'll start looking.
At any rate, I think you just sweeten the deal in some form or way with respect to Kessler. I even had an interesting thought that I would wonder whether or not Ainge would even take a straight up swap of Dalton Connect for.
No.
You know, here's
I might make that trade if I were a general manager of the Lakers.
now here's one of
picking
the problems where
Yeah.
Hood Chapino and all of his injuries have really screwed us, because at one point Utah was interested in him,
Right.
and he just hasn't been healthy enough to play, even if it's a G League, to show what he can do. You know, I think that they would, if he had been healthy and play a little bit, he might have been the piece that would push them to do the trade.
He still might be the beast.
It could be if he comes back and actually can play somewhere, even if it's just the G League. So he really, that's been hard, and I feel sorry for the guy because he hasn't been able to develop because he was hurt a lot last year, and he's been hurt almost this whole year. So I mean, he hasn't even had time to develop. So it's been kind of tough.
Okay, so just to clarify, the Lakers have, and I think Bobby Marks is a little bit wrong in this because he's not taking into the modern cap. We have 3 potential first-round picks: 2027 if 1 through 4, 2029, and 2023. The 2027 one is either going to be a first-round pick or a second-round pick, so you can't trade that until you know where.
I read we traded it. I read straight out from several sources.
This is all after
traded 3 picks that we own.
I'm looking at an article after the D'Lo trade. This is as modern as it gets, unless you can find something concrete that isn't you yelling it to the camera that it's different. Okay,
go ahead.
3 first-round picks, possibly in 2027, 1 second-round pick. But I do think it's actually, we can also, because we're under the second apron, trade our 2031 first-round pick as well. You just can't trade 2030 and
all
2030.
3 of them at once.
That's right. But you can use 2030 as a pick swap, and you can use trade 2031 or vice versa. So with that in mind, really it's 4 first-round picks, 2 of them as pick swaps, 1 second-rounder that the Lakers currently have left. Now, like I said, in 2027, we may get a second-rounder. It just means our first-round pick fell 1 through 4, and it's not ours anymore. So if it falls 1 through 4, it goes to, I believe, Washington. And if it goes outside of 1 through 4, it's a second-rounder that goes to Washington. That's how that works out. So it's not getting traded until 2027.
At any rate, I would do whatever I have to do, short of giving up that second pick. I would do whatever we have to do to make sure that we get Kessler.
Lakers Nation,
to this team, he gives us the option. Now all of a sudden we can start a true wing at the 3 in Doe, or we can turn around and bring a second big in if we have to with Kessler. And he plays 35 minutes a game, so you've got a guy who's playing enough minutes that between AD and Kessler, whether he starts or doesn't start, you could cover all 48 minutes of rim protection on a team.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting Walker Kessler. It's just, I don't think it's going to happen it might happen next summer. He's under a contract next year for a very reasonable amount. There's no impetus on the Jazz.
You're all in for Jonas then, huh? Okay.
No, I didn't say that. My trade is for Vucevic. I like the idea of getting
Vucevic. I would jump on that trade for obvious reasons.
Right. Well, because you get a decent defensive center. He's not elite. He's decent. And you get a guy who can stretch the floor, and he averages a decent number of assists.
I'm going to have to push back on his defense. Vooch is not. There's a reason Vooch hasn't played on any winning teams. He's not a winning player. He's not.
You don't like. So all right, Rob.
He's a numbers guy. He'll give you numbers. Him and Zach is the perfect pairing out there. in ball.
Well, he averaged less than
Rob,
a block a game.
I just want to say, Rob, I love it when you come in with like a hard, strong opinion. Like, no
to
I was
Vooch.
sat here quietly for 5 whole minutes listening to this.
Vooch over Jonas any day of the year. Vooch over Jonas.
I mean, yeah, okay, yeah. If that's the choice, then definitely. But I mean,
Rob, do you see?
Does anybody want Jonas?
No, nobody wants Jonas.
I don't want Vooch either.
Anything but Jonas is really my mantra for this trade.
Yeah, I don't want Vooch either.
I take, I want Kessler,
better
I'll take Richards. I'd take Sharp without a doubt. Maybe we have a deal already for Sharp, and Rob has told him, he says, well, let me play around and see if I can get Kessler first, and if not, we'll come back and we'll take Sharp.
I mean,
that's what I was thinking when the whole thing went down. That would have been a great move.
Guys are good defenders at that position, and that would not be Vooch. Kessler, yes. Vooch.
Yeah, but boy, Vooch would.
The thing on Richards,
I shoot 40% from 3 this year.
The thing on Richards is this:
he can stroke.
He blocks in 23 minutes. He gets 8 boards, 2.5 of offensive boards, and a block and a half in 23 minutes a game. He would be the ideal backup. He would give us a defensive presence. We've got scoring, and we've got a great forward rotation. Might need like I said, we could maybe use a second backcourt scorer, but I don't think
we really need a point guard for the future at some point, man. It's going to get.
I think you
lose D'Lo and and LeBron's getting older. That sucked a huge amount of playmaking, long-term playmaking.
I think that given the current structure of the team, I think that point guard is fine. It's not elite. It's fine. Reeves has stepped up. Reeves has stepped up.
Reeves has stepped up, but maybe stepped up too much. No,
I don't think so. I think he's trying to get from 13 mil to 20 mil in his next deal. That's what every player should do.
Yeah.
That's the smart move. You don't have somebody like D'Lo leave and be like, well, who's going to take up the slack? You look in the mirror and say, I need to take up the slack. And Reeves has done the right thing. That's all I'm going to say about that. I mean, anybody who thinks that Reeves is doing something weird, I'm like, no, he's just he's doing the right thing. He's playing as hard as he can for as long as
he's dramatically improved his handle in the middle of the season.
Like Matt, he could add a little bit more muscle. He could spend a little more time in the weight room and eat some kidney beans. But other than that, I don't have a lot to complain about Austin Reeves. I mean, when somebody says like, oh, he had 6 turnovers, yeah, the dude's the point guard, and there's like 2 new guys on the team, and LeBron averages 5 turnovers for his career, and he's been fine. So yes, he had too many turnovers last night. I'm not so worried about it in terms of like, if you average 6 turnovers going forward as the running, okay.
There's the quality of the turnovers. The quality of the turnovers has been pretty atrocious.
No good. There's no good turnover in my opinion.
Well, but sometimes these dumb flat passes.
Yeah, no, bad flat crossover passes, they can be done away with entirely. Those are just mental mistakes, or you're trying to shortcut the play. Don't take shortcuts. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey to watch the ball get into the corner. Don't try to shortcut the journey.
And another thing, just keep in mind, he only had 6 assists last night, but he had 37 assists through the previous 3 games.
I'm not worried about Reeves as the point guard.
That's pretty damn good.
I'm not worried
but the rest, he didn't have to play. He didn't have to play against that same guy in those that he did last night.
No. I'm not worried about Reeves. I'm not worried about the point guard position. When Vincent gets back with Shake Milton, there's something there that's workable in the playoffs and out of the playoffs. I'm not worried about the shooting guard because you can slot, connect at the guard spot. You can play Vincent and Reeves. You can play Shake and Reeves. Max Christie's doing fine.
We really could use a veteran 2 guard who we could count on. Lonnie Walker would be great in that.
Lonnie Walker would be great. I mean, there's a path for Lonnie Walker to come back. I personally think he would rather play wherever he is for more money than come play for 3.5 on the Lakers. That's just my personal.
I don't think that for a moment.
Well, I do because of how he left, but we all have our thoughts, Tom. We all have our thoughts, and that's what makes us unique. He did not leave the Lakers in a happy place. Let's put it that way. That I remember. I will never forget when he basically single-handedly won that playoff game against Golden State. And they interviewed him on TNT after the game. And they're like, "What? When you got benched by the Lakers, how did you?" He went, "Well, when nobody else believed in me, I had my support team, and they all helped me believe in myself. And there was no thanks for No, thanks, coach, for putting me in and giving me a shot. That wasn't happening. That wasn't happening. Lonnie was like, and goodbye, Los Angeles. I'll play for the Clippers. That's fine. We'll see.
Lonnie, there's a call from Rob Pelinka for you.
Hang on.
Okay. Tell him I'm busy.
That's right. That's exactly what I think would happen. I'll be happy to prove wrong. I really like Lonnie Walker the fourth. I thought he kind of got a bum deal under Darvin Ham because he was playing great until he got hurt, and then he lost his starting spot. And you're supposed to, in theory, I think the NBA code is you're supposed to lose your starting spot. It's not supposed to just be kind of swept out from under you. That's just my 2 bits on that. I have no idea what somebody's taking a long time to post here. Well, I don't know how to ban people, but I might have to ban this person. I'll have to ask. Yeah, all right. I don't know how to get somebody out of here like that, but you're just a joke, TK. TGK, you are a despicable person. Let's just put it like that. I'll ask Gerald how to boot people off someday. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up here one way or the other. It's after 12. We all got life to live. Any last thoughts on the going forward? I don't know that the Lakers are going to make a trade. I think there's enough waiting in the wings between Vanderbilt and Wood coming back. Hayes came back. I don't understand. I understand that there's a lot that Jackson Hayes doesn't do, but I appreciate what Jackson Hayes does bring to the table. He's a very athletic player. He gets back in the play quick. He can get out. He can guard on the perimeter. He needs some more seasoning. He needs some more reps. He probably has another 2 years of development in him before he's like really, truly a serviceable backup center. Whether the Lakers have that luxury on his timeline is a decent question. I don't know that they have the luxury to wait for Jackson Hayes to develop into all
He's
that.
a good third center. He's a good third center.
He's a good third center. He's a good third center. And when Wood comes back, I would like to see him get some time. I do think there's something in Christian Wood that you could put into this mix that yields a positive result. And I just think that there's enough that I think that Michael is right. I think, and we all sort of danced around this. I think there's enough waiting in the wings for the Lakers to wait to not give up picks to bring in a backup center. We're really talking about a backup center here. And in the playoffs, I think that the backup center
for 2 years we haven't had a backup center. And you want to make it a full 2 years.
I mean, I'm not saying hey, we do have a backup center. His name is Jackson Hayes. Just because you don't think he's the backup center doesn't mean he's not filling that role every night. Because he is, if you look at
a lot of times the guy filling that role is called Rui Hachimura.
That's also true. It's next man up. But anyway, all I'm saying is that I do think there's
our starting small forward.
All right. Yeah, you want to yell one more thing, or
I'm done.
We'll see about that. I don't believe it for a second. Anyway, my point is this: I think that without giving up picks, there's enough. The Lakers have about a month, right? They got about a month before they
already did a trade. They didn't need another trade.
That's my thoughts too, LT. That's how I'm always thinking. Let's see what this team can do and deal with it in the summer. Anyway, we'll see. I don't think it. I do think it's.
No use making a mistake right now when I could make it this summer.
That's right. Make it better.
Another 6 months worth of pay.
Better mistake in the summer. I think it's a 30% chance there's one more deal left for the Lakers to make. I think it does. I think
Jonas for
price,
one.
I think it's all
Jonas for our 1 second round pick.
Maybe I think it's all about the price. I don't think the Lakers are looking forward to trading first round picks for backup players. I
want protection on that second round pick.
If the Lakers can get Kessler for 1 second round pick and taking the protections off the first, I think that deal would have been done already. Okay, let me put it that way. So that deal's not going to happen.
That deal should have been done already is really probably what
you're talking about trading 2 first round picks plus taking protections off one, sending a cat that everybody likes in Utah.
1 first round pick and take the protections off.
It's not going to happen. Anyway, I'd like to thank all of my contributors today. We've had a very lively debate, as we often do. I'd like to thank El Rob. El Rob, I hope your team wins tomorrow. I don't really watch NFL, but I root for people whose teams that I'm talking to are going to play. So good luck to you on Sunday.
It would be nice to see the Lions go all the way and win it. It's been so long since they've been to the championship. What is it, 1956, something like that? The last time they won.
I was not on this earth the last time they won. The glory days of the Bobby Lane days of the 56 and 57, and
I remember those days.
Long time. So
the octogenarian remembers, the rest of us do not. Like I said, I would love it if Minnesota won. I don't think they've ever won a Super Bowl. I would love it if the Detroit Lions won. It's been a while.
But hey, the Lions have never even been, Jamie. So we have that on Minnesota.
There you go. Oh, Vikings. Well, maybe they'll break that curse this year. We'll see. Anyway, all right, you guys. Have a great Sunday. Thank you, chat.
Wait for the trade that's going to happen as soon as the show ends.
That's right. No. Oh, yeah. I forgot. Nothing's going to happen at all for the rest of the season. There will be no more trades. This team is done. There you go, Tom. There you go. Just that one was for you. That was for this guy right up above me. That one was for that guy right up above me. Anyway, thanks, Rob. Thanks, Michael H. Thanks, Laker Tom. Thank you, Chad, except for the guy writing garbage in there who's obviously way too bored to be alive. So good luck with your life, Captain Boredom. Enjoy your pettiness, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Goodbye, everyone.
Hey, Lakers road trip. You got to win that road trip, man.
Yeah,
those next two games are statement games.
It's one game. Two games. Yeah,
2 games.
2-game road trip. Texas two-step, baby. We're going to show them.
Well, Luke is out, so that's going to be helpful.
Yeah, we don't play.
Yeah, if we can take the game tomorrow, we got a good chance of sweeping Texas.
Yeah.
Sweeping Texas. I don't know if that's possible. All right, you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Aloha.